Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the rags to riches story of a man who was so broke he had to sleep while standing. So without further ado, let's begin. From a very young age, our protagonist always wanted to have a lot of money. He was tired of being poor and not having access to the things that he saw wealthier people have. In fact, when he was a child, his family were so poor that if it wasn't for the neighbor who gave them food every now and then, they would have starved. The thing that made our protagonist the most envious was seeing other kids get to ride their bikes while he had to walk. One day, our protagonist asked his mom why they were so poor. His mom looked at him, sighed, and said, "Because your dad left us when you were just a baby, and since then, I've been working 3 jobs just to make ends meet." Although she did her best, she just couldn't provide our protagonist with everything he needed. As time passed by, our protagonist grew older and older, and although he never got to experience what it was like to have a bike or have enough food to eat, he always kept in mind that he didn't want to live a life like his mother's. He wanted more than anything to become rich. When he finished high school, our protagonist decided to join the army. It was one of the few options he had that could get him out of his current situation. During basic training, our protagonist learned many useful skills that would help him in the future. He learned how to fight, defend himself, and most importantly, he learned the value of discipline and responsibility. After several years in the army, our protagonist left and began working security at a mall. Even though it wasn't his dream job, he knew that every job was important if it meant he could earn an honest buck. As a security guard, our protagonist met all kinds of people. Some were good, others were bad. But no matter what, he treated everyone with respect because he knew that everyone deserved a chance. Although our protagonist liked his job, he still felt like something was missing. That's when he remembered his childhood dream of becoming rich. He knew that he wasn't going to achieve that goal working as a security guard. He needed to do something else. Something that would allow him to take risks and make a lot of money fast. That's when our protagonist decided to try his luck at gambling. After work, he would go to different casinos and bet all his savings until one day he won big. With the money he earned, he was able to quit his job and finally focus entirely on gambling. For a while, it seemed like it was going to work out for our protagonist. He was able to buy a nice car and a house in the suburbs. But soon after, his luck ran out and he lost everything. Not only that, but he also went into debt. Now that he owed thousands of dollars, our protagonist became desperate. He needed to win money fast, but he had already lost everything he had. At this point, our protagonist had 2 options. Either he could declare bankruptcy and pay off his debts slowly, or he could keep trying to win money and risk losing even more. Our protagonist chose the second option. He borrowed money from loan sharks and put it all in. One last game. The night of the game, our protagonist was so nervous that he couldn't sleep. He kept tossing and turning in bed thinking about what could happen. Would he be able to pay off his debts? Or would he lose everything? When the sun came up, our protagonist decided to go to the casino early and wait for the game to start. He sat down at the table and placed all his chips in the middle. Other players joined him and the game began. As the game progressed, our protagonist's heart started racing. He was losing. At first it was just small losses, but then they started getting bigger and bigger. Soon enough, our protagonist had lost all his money. He looked at the pile of chips in front of him and realized that he had nothing left. He had lost it all. Our protagonist walked out of the casino feeling defeated. He had tried everything and failed. He was so desperate that he didn't even care if he was robbed or killed. As he was walking, he didn't notice that a group of men were following him. When our protagonist reached his car, the men approached him and said, "Give us all your money and we won't hurt you." Our protagonist knew that there was no use in resisting. He opened the door for them and handed over his wallet. The men took all his money and drove away in his car. Now that he was completely skint, our protagonist had nowhere else to go. He called his mom and told her he needed a place to stay. She didn't ask any questions and told him to come over. When our protagonist arrived at his mom's house, he was surprised to see that she had cleaned it up. It was much nicer than he remembered. He asked her if she had gotten some new furniture, and she replied, "No, I haven't. Your sister and I have been working hard to make the house look better. We're so proud of you, honey. You'll always be our little boy, no matter how old you are." Even though our protagonist was embarrassed, he was also grateful for his mom's kindness. He knew that she had done everything she could to make him happy, and he didn't want to disappoint her. The next morning, our protagonist woke up early and went for a walk. As he was walking, he saw a sign that said, "Help Wanted." He walked inside and asked for an application. The manager looked at him and said, "You don't look like the type of person who can work here. Do you have any experience?" "Not really, but I'm willing to learn." "All right, you can start tomorrow. Come in at 8 a.m. sharp." The next day, our protagonist arrived at work and started training. He was working as a janitor, which was not easy at all. He spent most of his time cleaning toilets and floors, but he didn't mind. At least he had a job. As time passed by, our protagonist started saving money. He knew that he didn't want to live a life of luxury, but he also didn't want to be poor anymore. He wanted to have enough money to feel comfortable. One day, our protagonist heard about a business opportunity and decided to invest all his savings into it. It was a risky move, but it paid off. In no time, our protagonist was making more money than he had ever made before. He used his money to start his own business, and within a few years, he was a millionaire. Even though our protagonist was rich, he never forgot where he came from. He always helped those in need and tried to make a difference in the world. Now, let's move on to the lessons part. Lesson 1. Gambling doesn't work. Although our protagonist won big at the beginning, in the end, he ended up losing everything. Gambling is not a way to make money. If you want to be rich, you have to work hard and smart. Lesson 2. Don't borrow money you can't afford to lose. When our protagonist borrowed money from the loan sharks, he put himself in a very dangerous situation. Loan sharks are not nice people, and they will do anything to get their money back. If you're not careful, you could end up in serious trouble. Lesson number 3. Never give up. No matter how bad things may seem, you should never give up. Our protagonist could have easily given up when he lost everything, but instead he kept trying and eventually he succeeded. And with that, we've come to the end of the video. What are your thoughts about our protagonist? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.